There we go. We're recording. All right. Beautiful. Yeah. Hello, everyone. We'll be doing things a little bit different this meeting. Paul and Cass are both out, so I'll kind of be I'll be spearheading this meeting, and it'll be a little shorter. It's going from 7 to 8, and we'll be talking about a couple, I think, exciting things, including get out the vote efforts. Before we do any of that, I'm going to do a quick land acknowledgement here. So, although we're all joining virtually tonight, we'd like to start this event acknowledging that we stand on the stolen land of Native people. It's important to recognize that this land was taken from its original caretakers and then degraded to meet the desires of European settlers. So I want us to honor the nations and their land. In the 43rd, we're on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish people and Coast Salish, past and present. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the original tribal stewards of the land. Please take a moment to reflect on any nations you know who cared for this land or the land you grew up on. And if you want to learn more about either, there is a helpful map that I am about to share. Here we go. Okay, so first up, Dawn, if you're on the call, I'm going to have you, I'll unmute you if you're not able to yourself, and I'll have you talk about the I-135 housing social housing education and fundraising event. Let me look for Dawn here. I said that and then realized Dawn's in the waiting room. So let me admit Dawn, give Dawn a breather. Dawn, if you're in the meeting now, we kind of just kicked it off with a land acknowledgement. And I'll actually have you speak first about the I-135 social housing and educational and fundraising event. So I will unmute you and let you take it away. Give me one moment here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for doing the land acknowledgement. There is a fundraiser form that we would like you to fill out and we'll put in the chat promptly. But we as 43rd community volunteer members, we are not hosting the site as the 43rd, but we would ask all of you to come to this community event that we are as volunteer members supporting and volunteer organizing. It's going to be at Cafe Racer on July 29th. We have Nikita Oliver as a guest speaker, and we have Nicole Macri, who will also be speaking. We will have Emmett Montgomery, who will be emceeing the event. And we will have the Martial Law Band, Indigiqueer, and also just confirmed the Black Stacks, who is a wonderful, beloved Black band. They do a lot of soul and R&B and hip hop. And they're going to be also leading in between the educational event for social housing. We would really, really deeply appreciate any volunteers from the 43rd. And we would also deeply appreciate your presence July 29th at 8 p.m. We're going to have food from Chumin Tofu, and we're also going to have food from Off the Res at a $50 VIP pass, and we would encourage anybody here to come and purchase as many VIP passes as you can so you can get a delicious fried bread taco from Off the Res and support Indigenous businesses here. That would be really, really appreciated. Are there any questions for me?
Oh shoot. Let me unmute you again, Dawn.
Does anybody have any questions about the fundraiser or anything for me that you have in mind? And are there any interests as we speak to on volunteering for the fundraiser?
Dawn, I have kind of a quick one. Just curious if there's any particular element to the event that you're sort of most excited to see executed and most keyed into right now. Like, is there anything
Yes.
that's like top of your mind?
Yes, we're going to have art and artist pop-up that are also Black, Indigenous, and POC artists. Um, Coming to do a pop-up gallery, and they're going to donate 20% of the proceeds to House Our Neighbors and the I-135 initiative. We're going to have art from the Vivid Matter Collective, Moses Sun, Ryan Henry Ward. We're going to have really great passes, and we have the support of folks from Numos, Bumbershoot organizers. We're going to have the Vera Project folks come, and they are also supporting by giving us tickets for the silent auction. We have silent auction tickets from various museums here for the 43rd and Tech for Housing and other hosts and community members to auction to hopefully support and endorse I-135. And so the silent auction is definitely something we're going to be pushing quite often for the event. And all of the proceeds of the silent auction are going to be garnered to support the House Our Neighbors I-135 initiative. So we would really highly encourage 43rd members to come to bid well on these wonderful prints from so many community members. All of the artists that have contributed have struggled with housing stability in the past, including Ryan Henry Ward, who was himself houseless for quite some time before he became one of the most prolific artists here in Washington State, not just Seattle. So I would really, really greatly appreciate volunteers and 43rd members to come and endorse and bid well for all of the endorsed sorry, I have a dog that's coming to visit me, endorse all of the silent auction items. And also we're going to have really amazing musicians come. The Martial Law Band is a well-loved band here in Seattle. Indigiqueer, his name is Echo Hawk, and he is also, I believe, related to Colleen Echo Hawk. And we're going to have Indigenized Productions, Indigiqueer come. So it's really circular. It's really coming back to supporting Indigenous artists, Indigenous community members and businesses, Black, Indigenous, people of color communities, and those that have struggled with housing stability. I myself, as a POC femme and art culture worker myself, have struggled with housing stability here. So I would also deeply appreciate the 43rd coming in solidarity for those of us that have struggled, that don't make the wage. I see Ellen is raising her hand. If somebody can unmute Ellen.
Hi there. Yeah, thank you so much, Dawn, for doing this and bringing it to our attention. I am not seeing your fundraiser link in the chat yet, but I'm wondering if, in addition to putting that in the chat, you could also put a quick link to the I-135 website, just so that people who need more information about the initiative itself can find that easily. Thanks so much.
Sure thing. I'm going to put the Cafe Racer link right now. And it's also, if anybody here is on Twitter, myself, Tech for Housing, House Our Neighbors have been promoting this on Twitter and all of our social media feeds quite, I won't say rabidly, but enthusiastically. And I'm putting the link to Cafe Racer as we speak. I don't have access to the volunteer sign up sheet, but I'm going to put that into the general Slack forum.
And Dawn, one quick thought. Unless you're a co-host, you might only be able to message me. So if you want, do you want to just drop it to me on Slack? I'll just toggle over there and I'll send it out to everyone here.
I'm going to drop all of the things on Slack for you for your channel. Absolutely. Are there any other questions for me? I cannot access the volunteer form, but I will get that to you as soon as possible. Are there any people here that would also be interested offhand in volunteering as well? Cody, I'm trying to send it to you directly right now.
Yeah, I think here I didn't include any context with that, but that was the volunteer form. I got that from Camille. I assume
Oh,
Camille.
thank you so much.
Yeah, Camille seems like is assisting on the back end. So our silent guardian is here. Appreciate it.
Thank you
I'm
so
also
much.
looking at a How's Our Neighbors website. So let me send that out as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I just sent you the link for the I-135 social media, and I'm also going to send it How's Our Neighbors overview in text for the I-135. I find that this has been like the most informational form to give to folks when I have been requesting as a volunteer only in-kind donations from our community members. I found that this provided a lot of useful links to passive housing and other legislation and endorsements that our community have given to I-135 and How's Our Neighbors.
A quick question before I send it in the chat, since there've just been a few links here and I want to make sure I'm providing the right context. I think you just spoke about it, but this most recent one, howsourneighbors.org/initiative-overview and text. What tiny bit of context should I add in the chat when I'm sharing that?
Could you ask that question one more time, Cody? I'm sorry, I got surprised.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, just what this final link I'm about to share that you sent me, what's the context for this one before I send it?
It's an overview. It's an overview of all of the questions and the public development, passive housing, and many other union-led public development roles and the long-term strategy that the I-135 has in mind. It's basically an FAQ, and it's really thorough and shows the models and the influences of and the articles and the legal logistics of the I-135 and its plan of action for our body to read. It's a really thorough informational sheet for folks here.
Beautiful. All right. Anything else, Dawn?
Thank you so much, Cody, for providing the volunteer sheet. Please fill it out. Please come. Please support your local artists. And Amy Madden has a question, and I would love to answer that as well.
Yeah, all right, let me make sure I can unmute Amy. Amy, I'm looking for you on the participants sheet. Hold tight. There we go.
Amy looks quite summery, and I don't know where it is, but it looks very summery.
Not in my alley garden. The whole building gets to kind of share this alley space. So I just want to reiterate for everyone how incredibly important this fundraiser is. And our board member, Dawn, has been working so very hard. And every relationship she's building with all of these organizations is something we're going to be able to further strengthen and grow through our organizing together and be able to fundraise together in the future too. So this is very important that the 43rd Dems come out and support this. I guess my specific question, Dawn, would be, are there really specific volunteer roles that you really need people to fill? So I'd love to see some folks raising their hands tonight to help you. Like, do you need people to schlep stuff? Do you need them to show up early?
Yes, we need people to show up early. We're going to be setting up around 6 p.m. The events starts from 8 to 10 p.m. or 8 p.m. to midnight. We are going to need a lot of bodies to help us set up and to pick up some food or provide some nourishment to the performing artists on stage. I have Costco gift certificates as well for the artists to provide them. We're going to need volunteers that schlep not only the silent auction items, but also to continually boost providing drinks, because Cafe Racers providing the venue space for free for us. So in order to honor our community, I would like us to support our community by, purchasing 1 or 2 drinks from them. And also continually boost endorsing funds while we're there to house our neighbors as well. So we're going to need definitely volunteers to maybe help provide security and boost the silent auction, help with tickets, triaging, and we're going to need volunteers to help set up and break down.
I see some really awesome former 43rd volunteers in the chat tonight or on the participants list. And some newer folks, Raven, Liam, Justin, Terry, some just awesome people tonight who've done work for the 43rd in the past or volunteering or have stepped up to be delegates, etc. And I just really want to encourage you to help Dawn out, maybe message her, ask her what you can do specifically, fill out the volunteer form if you'd rather. But we just really need folks to be there a week and a half from now, show up early, be willing to carry stuff for her, etc. Because Dawn needs some help.
Thank you, Amy. And also thank you, Amy, for reiterating the importance of the success of this fundraiser, because we've really worked very hard, myself, Cass, Jeff, Suresh, everybody involved that we have as volunteers to build relationships with art and culture community members. And it will really provide for much more successful fundraising for the 43rd in the future. Raven has a question and I would love to answer that for her as best as I can.
Yeah, let me get that.
Hey, sorry, it's not a question, but I should be able to volunteer and help out. I'm not sure for how long, just because it's right before primary election day, but I could do my best to help out at some point in time during the night. If you want to, I'll fill out the volunteer form, I think, or as long as I get the information via email or something, I can go ahead and sign up for you.
Thank you, Raven. We deeply appreciate that so very much. Are there any other statements or hands raised to want to volunteer and come? Just please come, and support. And whatever tier that you can come in at $10, that's a really affordable price point for everybody here in the 43rd. We wanted to do it like on a sliding scale basis. So just also please come to the fundraiser if you can. Are there any other questions or statements? All right, thank you so much. I think that's it for the fundraiser.
Oh, I have one thing, Dawn.
Sure.
Brad just reminded me that if folks have not signed Initiative 135, if you go to the website, there's a calendar and you can see where signature gatherers are gathering, and go ahead and sign. Wait, did they already submit the signatures? Yeah. Are they still gathering signatures? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, they're still gathering, and that's also a very important event. And I also, they have multiple events that they're doing. Thank you for raising that attention, Brad and Amy. And Camille also has a point, I think, about signature gathering. And I'm also happy to support that signature gathering too.
I have my policy committee update that I'll definitely go a little bit further into some of the stuff, but first, just Dawn is doing an incredible job with this, and I hope to see every single person here at the fundraiser, either in a volunteer capacity or just as an attendee, because it's really going to be such a cool event. And then as far as signature gathering, I'll give a more detailed update in a little bit, but we will be going into a 20-day signature gathering period. It has not started yet because the city clerk is taking their sweet time getting back to us on when we can start. So we're hoping this weekend that 20-day period is going to start, but we don't know for sure and probably won't know until Friday. So that is the update there. But yes, if you haven't signed it yet, be looking out for folks starting probably this weekend to go sign it.
All right. Thank you, Camille. And thank you, Dawn, for giving us that rundown and putting all the work into the event. Appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to talk about our primary get out the vote efforts and what we're trying to do and how people can help out. First, I want to give a little bit of context because I like to center the why in my brain a little bit when I'm talking about get out the vote efforts. And I think for a lot of us on the call, this is the first meeting. This is the first general 43rd meeting that we've been having since some incredibly scary, backwards looking decisions that the Supreme Court made, that attacked a woman's right to choose and the EPA's ability to protect us from climate catastrophe. And, while I bring those up, not to wallow, but I think it's helpful when we talk about get out the vote efforts to keep in mind why we do this and what the stakes are, right? Because at the end of the day, we're turning out the vote because everyone on this call, we believe in progress and leaders who will fight for our rights and our humanity a lot of the time. So to that end, let's get into our primary get out the vote efforts for 2022. Since we have no contested races in the 43rd, we've been looking for where our efforts can have the biggest impact to help elect Democrats locally and nationally. Here's what we found. Also, I'm going to pause for a quick second. I'm going to omit a few people that I see waiting in the wings here. There we go. Okay. So here's what we found. So we'll be partnering with the 5th Legislative District to help Representative Bill Ramos and Representative Lisa Callan, 2 Democrats serving in Olympia. They'll be speaking shortly to share with them kind of what our support and what our efforts will mean for them and some context around their leadership in Olympia. And we'll also be supporting April Berg's campaign over in the 44th LD, which is doing some great work and has recently seen some racist harassment directed at people of color canvassing there. That I think makes it even more important to go in there and help them where we're able to. So how this will work is I am going to share real quick. There we go. I'm going to share in the chat here. So this is a Google form, and this is filling this out is mostly your information and how we can contact you. And it's basically you giving a thumbs up to say, hey, I'm interested in the 43rd's primary get out the vote efforts. And what I'll do then is I'll take this information and I'll reach back out to everyone who fills out the form, and I'll provide them opportunities to support these campaigns, Bill Ramos, Lisa Callan, April Berg that we're talking about. And let me see if there's any more housekeeping here before I think I turn it over to some speakers much more exciting than myself. So it'll be either myself or another board member will email everyone who fills out the Google form a sign up link for a few key canvases for each of these campaigns. They're hosting them every Saturday and Sunday until the August 2nd primary. So my suggestion would be figure out which one works best for you, RSVP using the links that we'll provide, and it should be that simple. All right, so let me unmute our first speaker.
Hello.
Hello, and I apologize for not giving you too much of an introduction there, Lisa. But
Okay,
I figured better to kick it over to you. But yeah, whether it's yourself or James, I feel like feel free to speak to kind of what you guys got going on, and yeah, take it away. But really happy to have you on this call.
Thank you so very much. And I'm so excited to be here with such strong supporters and advocates in every way for putting people first, and the strong Democrats that you are in the 43rd. Greatly appreciate everything that you're doing in every way. I am State Representative Lisa Callan from the 5th Legislative District, and I was elected in 2018 in great part because of the volunteers and supports that we also received from the 43rd at that time, and that's when we flipped the seat. Myself and Bill Ramos both ran in 2018, and we flipped both of the House seats from Republican to Democrat, and we've been able to stay in those seats for the last 2 terms, and we're both facing strong, challenging races this term, and so we're really seeking a lot of support and help, and would love for you to come out into our part of the state. You know, we're just your neighbor, just 15 miles or so down I-90, to come out and help us really make a lot of voter contact. You know, it's midterms. We know that there's a lot of divisiveness that's happening at the national level. Our volunteers in the 5th have done a lot of work to try to hold on to all of the seats that we've had and to flip them, and they're pooped. We've got the 8th Congressional District, of course, with Kim Schreier. The 5th Legislative District sits wholly into the 8th Congressional District. So we've got this, you know, this mighty force of volunteers that are working on every level, coordinated campaign, and with the Kim Schreier's race, and then of course with Bill's race and my race. And so if you can help us, you know, in these down ballot races in particular, it would just be huge. I serve on the Education K-12 Committee. I serve on Children, Youth, and Families. I serve on as Vice Chair of Capital. So spent a lot of time and money. I know you guys were just talking about housing for your neighbor. The Capital Committee made historic investments in affordable housing and rapid housing acquisition, and a lot of those aspects this last session and the last 2 sessions, and just so excited to be able to make those investments, and in particularly helping out your district and making sure that we're doing that across the state. So I also serve as the state's co-chair for the Children Youth Behavioral Health Work Group, which engages over 300 stakeholders in from perinatal phase all the way up through transitioning age youth to the age of 25 on what we're trying to accomplish in behavioral health. It's a high passion of my area, making sure that each and every person has the services and supports they need when and where they need them, and that includes, you know, our youngest Washingtonians and our youth that are experiencing homeless, our youth that are engaged in our dependency care, are involved with juvenile justice. These are all areas that I serve and dive in deeply in our state with my committee work. And my opponent has been in the legislature before. My opponent has opposed much of this legislation that I've been working on. My opponent is not somebody we want to see coming back. And while he is pro-choice, we know that the pro-choice Republicans that have been in the legislature, including this last session, are voting no on the expansion of all of our reproductive right bills that we've brought forward. And we continually every year, of course, have defense to play on making sure we don't have setbacks in our reproductive health. So when we've got healthcare on the line, when we've got all of these major issues that are just really landing in the state, you all have been in this space for so long, and our moderate blue, purple leaning district at the moment, because of the contention that we're seeing at the federal level, we need everybody out and making as much voter contact as we can so that they know that we're here to take care of them at the state level. And I'm always open to answer more questions and tell you more about who I am, but I'm just thrilled at the opportunity that I get to come here and speak with you all. So thank you for the time and giving me a chance to speak. Bill and I do joint canvasses. So when you come out, you can just kind of, pick and choose whichever candidate you want to come. I see that his campaign manager and Francis is here. James is here, my campaign manager. So we've got lots of details we can provide for you, but just be super grateful for 1 hour, 2 hours, individual, as a group, whatever you want to do, we'll figure out a way to make it happen, and would just love any support. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate it. And I feel a little bad that I didn't give you, I think, the proper introduction, but I think you spoke well to kind of the work you all are doing over in the 5th, and really excited to have us be able to support however we can. So cool. I think next up, as Lisa was referencing, next up, I'm going to have Anne from the other campaign that she was talking about, that Lisa was talking about, speak. And so I'm going to go unmute Anne right now, and I'll let Anne take it away.
Thanks so much, Cody. It's great to be here. I just want to take a few minutes and talk about why I'm excited to work to reelect Bill Ramos and Lisa. See, the two of them together are an amazing pair. It's really great to see them and their respect for each other and their friendship and how they collaborate on the really important things that do great things for the state. But I'm going to focus a little bit more on Bill right now because I know a little bit more about him. Bill grew up in East Oakland, California. He's of Mexican descent, and so he saw firsthand how inequity can really affect people's lives, and he has taken those lessons with him to the present day to make sure that things are fair as he can make them, and that's what one of the things that drives him. He grew up in a union family. It was a Teamster household, and he credits that for giving him a little extra help in getting a good education and getting a good job. He spent a number of years with the Department of Forestry, U.S. Department of Forestry, and the Department of Transportation. Even as a forester, he was very involved in trying to make sure that the hiring practices of that organization were as diverse as possible. So you had, forest rangers of color, where you didn't more forest rangers of color than was currently being hired and trained. In his time at the Department of Transportation, he put a lot of effort in helping tribal communities improve their transit options. So he's kind of got both of those things going, where he definitely has an environmental focus from way back, but also getting people where they need to go, and the combination of those two things is really powerful. In the last couple of sessions, he's been integral in reshaping how police policy makes sure that our citizens in our state, across the state, not just in one part, but across the state, are both protected and respected. So that's a high priority for him. And I just I wish you all could meet him. He's out here knocking on doors, which is why I'm talking to you right now. But he wants to make sure that he can talk to as many people as possible to just get out the vote and keep Washington a great place to live, especially with the changes in policy at the federal level. He's been endorsed by Planned Parenthood. He's definitely the pro-choice representative, worthy of the name. And he's been endorsed by the Alliance for Gun Responsibility. So he's definitely looking at gun safety as a fundamental part of what it means to be a Washington citizen. Also by teachers, firefighters, nurses, cops, and the Seattle Times just endorsed him too. So it would be really great. I'd love for you to meet him at one of our canvases. We've got a canvas this Saturday in Renton, this Sunday in Maple Valley. Actually, next Tuesday afternoon, if you're not a weekend person, we're also going to be in Renton. And then on the 31st, we're going to be in Issaquah. Actually, Saturday and Sunday on the 30th and 31st will be in Issaquah. So it'd be great to see some of your faces and helping keep the blue wall intact. Are there any questions for me?
None that I see so far. If anyone wants to be unmuted and has a question about turnout, or any things that you were talking about, feel free to raise your hand right now. I'll try to unmute you. And if not, I actually kind of have as a bit of selfishly as a campaign nerd, I have a question for
Okay.
either of you. I'll keep holding space for a moment though, and just see if anyone shoots their hand up. And if not, I'll voice my question. Got it. Okay, I think I see one. Let me find them.
Hey there, this is Anne Marie Lowe. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, I believe, Anne, that I heard you say that your candidate had been endorsed by a police department. Can you tell me which one?
Washington Fraternal Order of Police Officers. Does that answer your question?
That's their union, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he got an endorsement from the union. That's pretty great. Excellent. Good to hear.
He's a labor guy from way back. If you go to his website, voteramos.org, you can see his whole list of endorsements, which includes a bunch of labor. Washington Conservation Voters also. He's got nurses and like I say, several labor organizations. There's some transportation ones in there, a bunch of elected officials, all that standard stuff. I can't put stuff in the chat myself, right, Cody, or not?
You should be able to shoot it to me, I think, as the host. Okay. I can put it in the chat if you'd like.
Okay, I will put that, and I can also put my contact information. So if anybody has any questions.
Yeah. I see it right here.
And 425. Maybe that can help people. Yep.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, bear with me a moment. It always takes a minute. I have to toggle back to the personal chat and then back to the group chat. So I have a couple links here I'm going to send out. I have one that James is sending from the Lisa campaign as well. There we go. That's from the Lisa campaign. And then let me grab the last one that you just sent me. Okay, I think that was, all of them.
Looks good.
Yeah, all right.
Thanks so much for being the translator.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that question. Appreciate it. And I think so. I'll have kind of a quick coda to what both the campaigns said. And I think in that time, I if it's all right, I want to put them on the spot as selfishly as a bit of a campaign nerd. I'm curious if either campaign, whether it's Anne or Lisa, or I think James is on the call as well from the Lisa campaign, if you're able to speak to any specific sort of targeting you're doing of voters, right? Or kind of what coalition you feel like you're targeting that really might bring you to victory, that our volunteers would be helping you, helping you contact. So I'll give you a moment to think about that as I kind of close this out, and hopefully that question is clear. I think I'm seeing a nodding head, so hopefully I didn't butcher that too much. But basically, just always curious what the sort of campaign strategy and kind of what voters were specifically interested in contacting. And so let me jump back here. To kind of to finish this out a little bit before we get to that question. Yeah, and so kind of on the topic of where can our efforts be impactful and where can we be a force multiplier, and also to somebody who asked something similar in the chat, and I think as Lisa referenced when they were speaking, the fifth LD, helping out these candidates in the fifth LD benefits these terrific candidates, and it also benefits Dr. Kim Schreier in the 8th congressional district, right? Which shares territory with the 5th LD. Kim Schreier, as I'm sure everyone on the call knows, was elected in our blue wave in 2018 when we flipped the House, and keeping her in the House of Representatives will be a strong step towards maintaining Democratic control of Congress in the 2022 midterm election. And I think part of what makes the 5th so exciting in that way is that you get a lot of bang for your buck in a certain way, right? That like one day of canvassing there is sort of this full force multiplier, where you're helping multiple tiers of strong progressive candidates bring home a win. So that was the note that I wanted to add. Thanks Lisa for noting that as well. And then if either campaign feels all right to speak about it, and if my question didn't resonate, no worries. But if either campaign feels all right to speak about it, let me unmute kind of all three of you right now. And if anyone wants to talk, you are more than welcome to. So I think, Ian, you are unmuted. Let me unmute Lisa. And then let me get James too. Yeah, feel free to take it away. I think we've probably got about 4-ish minutes left of this GOTV section.
Again, just really, really grateful and thank you for the opportunity. And I'm glad James came on camera because I'd love for you all to meet and connect with him as well. And I would love for Ann and James to kind of fill in my gap. But from a volunteer and canvassing perspective, the 5th, we really need to turn out every single Democrat in order to hold these seats. And so we are happy to put you on very friendly doors. It's really about getting voter turnout. And so I think that's our bigger, broad canvas target. Bill and I each have a targeted kind of doorbelling list that we're doing ourselves as the candidates that we're trying to reach out, especially since we have new districts that have never met us before. So we're charging in some of that space with the redistricting, making sure we're making those connections. And then just some of the different demographics from our heat maps that we've had from our previous races, that we're trying to reach in and be very targeted on that space. So while we're reaching in and making that happen, making sure that we're turning out every D, because we're going to need every single D in order to really make it happen. I think it's going to be that kind of race. So I don't know, James and Ann, if you've got any other thoughts you want to throw in on that.
James,
Yeah,
go ahead.
sure. And I see someone else has a question, but yeah, I think that we are a pretty big district. We've had an area kind of taken out of the north end of our district that was more Democratic up by North Bend, and have had areas down south, kind of Maple Valley, Black Diamond area added on that tend to be a little more conservative. And I think kind of like Cody was saying, with all the news surrounding policies that we find very important and issues that we care deeply about, there's kind of a razor's edge between letting that turn into a sort of defeat and apathy in voters' minds and letting it become kind of motivating and energizing. And a really big part of that is having a show of force for Democrats, having a Democrat come to your door and say, these people live in these maybe more conservative areas, but there's certainly a lot of Democrats around there. And they just kind of need that voice to come to their door and let them know that there are other people worried about these issues. There is a voice for them to vote for in this election. And so that's really where volunteers can come in, is by coming out and being that Democratic show of force. And it helps us tremendously. So any effort that can be given from you guys just provides tremendous value to us, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity to speak. I don't know if you have anything to add, Ann.
A little bit, yeah, you're totally right in terms of how the redistricting changed the shape of our district a bit. But we're going to have 3 canvases, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 canvases coming up in kind of this more southern end, Renton and Maple Valley. But then the final weekend before the primary is going to be Issaquah both days at this point, I think. And so, Issaquah is more traditionally blue, or as the further south you go, the harder it is a bit. But I'm going to steal a story a bit from Milan Thai, who I've heard tell a story about going to, I don't remember what district it was, what precinct it was, but she talked about going to a neighborhood, maybe in a cul-de-sac, but it's a lane neighborhood, where she knocked on a door and said, "Oh yeah, I'm a Democrat, but you shouldn't talk to anybody else in our neighborhood. I'm the only one here." And she went and she said, "Oh, that's interesting, because I've talked to 5 of your neighbors and they said the same thing to me." And so the interesting thing there is that you can find Democrats where you might not expect them. But we're basing it on some hard data, and so we expect to send volunteers to friendly doors. Lisa and Bill are out there, and I think James might be out there talking to people who are more on the persuasion side. This is about getting Democrats to take their ballot, fill them out, put them in a drop box. Right? They're already pretty much on our side. They just need a little extra effort to make the time. to make their voices heard. And so that's what we're about. And so that's how we're cutting our turfs. Raven has had a question for a while. Raven, can we unmute Raven or?
Hey, I think I'm already unmuted. It's not
Okay.
a question. I was just gonna say, well, number one, I love Bill Ramos. I am biased about it. I work with him and he's great. And just kind of like talking about the volunteer portion of everything is that, this year we're seeing that, volunteers on the Democratic side it's a little low. So we've been having trouble getting people out to these doors and with campaigns. And I think that any opportunity that voters have to talk to someone, whether it's the actual candidate or it's just, a community member or anyone, I think it's really impactful. And if you can't knock on doors, we can pull phone banking lists. We could do what we can to help out because every little bit counts. And I can't speak for Lisa, but I'm pretty sure it's the same on her side of the house. She can pull phone banking lists for you. I know that I myself and Ann can pull some phone banking lists for Bill. We can make it work. You don't have to go all the way out to the 5th district if you can't. But I think that, going into elections coming up very soon, we do need to make sure we're pushing our fellow Democrats to vote and that they understand the importance of local elections. And so I just urge anyone who can help to at least, try to help. If you can't get out there, no worries, we can send you a list of 30 to 40 people to call. We could do whatever we can. So just, try to volunteer if you can.
That's awesome, Raven. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate it, James. I really liked the note about nihilism. I think that you said, and not sort of falling into nihilism and apathy. Yeah, so I'm really hyped to support all the campaigns that just spoke. So really appreciate everyone's time, and I think that brings us officially to the end of our GOTV section. So for the hardworking campaigns that I'm sure have lists to cut, turf to cut and lists to make, feel free to continue doing your thing. And thanks so much for taking the time to spread the word over here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Cody, for the opportunity.
Okay. Next up, we have committee reports. So I think mutual aid, Don will be up first. Don, if there's anything else to add on top of the fundraiser, feel free to take it away, and I'll mute myself and let you do your thing. Let's see. Perhaps Don. Sorry, I gotta unmute you. Let me do that.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you for unmuting me, Cody. I deeply appreciate it. So for the mutual aid reports that we have to say that we have unanimously voted to provide climate support for the upcoming months due to the heat waves and climate emergencies. We voted unanimously to support Give a Damn Collective at $250 for tarps, water, electrolytes, ice packs, and ice. And for the Homeless Organizing Committee CD Capitol Hill for $250 for tarps, electrolytes, and ice packs and ice. I would also ask if there are more 43rd body members that are present here to please consider signing up for the 43rd Mutual Aid Subcommittee so that we can have more interest and diversified accounts for attendance and mutual aid grassroots organizations to support, and just to help consider providing your voice and your vote. We will definitely be needing that as some of our 43rd have transitioned into the 46th legislative district. And thank you so much for continuing to support the grassroots organizations, 43rd members, and have a good day. If there's any questions, please feel again free to, or statements, ask or say any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. And so going on, I think our next committee report is from our King County representatives. The folks who will be speaking, could you throw a hand up? Could you raise your hand on Zoom, and then I'll know to find you and I can unmute you that way. Amy, looks like you might be kicking it off.
Sure. So I don't have a lot to add to what's already been said. Nothing too much more to update from the state committee. Just this is get out the vote season, and I really want to encourage people to volunteer for a campaign. If you really don't want to knock on doors, you can make phone calls. You can offer your time to collate papers, anything for these campaigns, especially April Berg, Lisa Callan, and supporting this housing initiative that the 43rd has backed. And I guess I'll just underscore that research shows that 98% of Democrats who vote in the primary will do so in the general. So getting out that vote right now really helps. That's all from me.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah, that is a terrific reminder, right? About if we can get folks to the polls in the primary, then they are all but certain to vote in the general. So that's hugely important. And also kind of adding on to that too, I appreciate the reminder there. One thing that I think James was telling me when we were speaking on the phone earlier that I think that feels somewhat relevant, right, to the primary is that if these candidates that we were talking about earlier in the GOTV section, right, if they have a strong enough showing in the primary, then that's another reason why Republican money might not pour in there, right? Because the fight might be over before it's even begun. And they might go, okay, this is an uphill battle. We're not going to win this one. And so it's both, right? It's both, like Amy said, just numbers wise, it's we want folks to vote, and a primary is kind of a great, no pun intended, primer for that. But also in some ways it helps and stop a competitive race before it even happens sometimes.
Yeah. And every dollar that would have gone to that huge fight gets to go then to other Democrats or other, progressive allies. So.
Okay. Well, I think that's probably it for our King County reps, unless there's somebody I'm missing. If I am, feel free to raise your hand and I'll unmute you. Or if you're having any trouble with the hand raise, you can message me individually and then I can know to unmute you. So I'll give another moment here and then we will move on to state committee reps. So going once, going twice.
So okay. That was me. I was doing state committee.
Is it all right? Cool. Well, keep on the train. Anything for us?
Yeah, just get out the vote.
Oh, cool.
Also for King County.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, for King County, I do believe they have some Pride t-shirts left. So if you just check their website, they've got some really beautiful rainbow Seattle skyline Pride t-shirts that they'd love to get off their hands. So please go buy one.
Nice. Sounds good. All right. Next up, Camille with the policy committee. I'm gonna unmute you.
Hello. Okay, just gonna do a quick update. So let you all know earlier, but how's our neighbors? The initiative 135 for Seattle social housing is going forward into a 20-day signature gathering period to make up the remaining signatures that it needs to make the ballot. This is going to be a mad rush to get about between 6,000 and 8,000 in 20 days. Our field organizer is very motivated to do it all in one weekend. We'll see if that happens. But we would love to have folks from the 43rd show up to volunteer and gather signatures. I'll have a link in the chat to sign up for. We're having a very cool event on this Saturday, assuming that we get word from the city clerk that we can start by this Saturday. We're going to be having a launch event starting at the Beacon Hill Light Rail Station, and then folks are going to be given day passes for Sound Transit and then go around the city on Sound Transit, gathering signatures at different light rail stations and bus stops and transit centers. So it's like a day to kind of celebrate housing and mass transit all in one, because we love urbanism. Other things, the campaign, we're hosting a series of lunch and learns this summer, which are going to be Thursdays from 12 to 1:30, not every Thursday, but every other Thursday. This week is about eviction and restorative justice as a means of preventing eviction. So we've got some really great speakers from the Housing Justice Project. We believe the Lavender Rights Project, and a renter who has lived experience with having experienced eviction. So that's on Thursday. Definitely recommend attending that. There's going to be a panel just kind of broadly on social housing ballot initiatives this Friday, being hosted by the DSA, which we will be announcing more info about on our Twitter. The House Our Neighbors Twitter is like the place to go for daily campaign updates. Even if you don't have Twitter, you can still go and look at the Twitter. And that is like where the most up-to-date information about the campaign is. Instagram is good too. So I definitely recommend, if you're interested, going there and getting your updates from that. And then finally, like we've been saying, go to the fundraiser next Friday on the 29th. It's going to be amazing. And sign Initiative 135. And then one other thing, policy related, the comprehensive plan is now happening. They're in the first phase where they're taking comments from people around the city. So if you go to the One Seattle dashboard, you can create a free account and comment on different ideas, different alternatives for the comprehensive plan. This is going to be a huge game changer regarding zoning laws in the city. And so if we want to be able to build higher and denser housing that's close to grocery stores and transit centers, and more affordable for everyone, we need a really solid comprehensive plan. And so the more people that speak up to that, the better. So Cody, I sent you in Slack, I can send it again, a list of like links and info. There it is.
Cool. Let me grab that. Oh, there we go. Ooh.
Yeah, so that is my update.
All right, thank you, Camille. Over to me now for the PCO committee updates. Mostly what we've been talking about, we're pretty focused on the primary get out the vote efforts. But as always, if you have any questions, any PCO related questions, or just want to brainstorm, or just want to vent about politics in general, because politics is stressful, you're welcome to reach out to me over email or over phone. I think most people on this call probably have that. And what I will do though, is I am going to once more in the chat, I am going to share the Google form for our primary get out the vote efforts. If you feel inspired by hearing the candidates earlier today, go ahead and fill this out. I'll get you plugged in, and that's pretty much it. Good of the order. Anyone have good of the order? Feel free to shoot your hand up and I'll unmute you. Yes. Yep. Let me get you.
Hey, I think that Camille mentioned a site for the comprehensive plan and the activities going on there? Is it one something?
Yeah, Camille, is there a link you want me to share out for that? I can send it to Anne specifically if we'd like to. Or did that go out in that larger list that I sent out to the group?
I can Google it. That's fine.
I
Thanks.
think we're looking for it right now. I think we should have it pretty shortly. So Camille's quick on the draw, and I think momentarily we'll probably have it for you. So yeah, thank you, Anne. I should be able to get that over to you before the end of the meeting. And if somehow I haven't, feel free to message me and I'll make sure to connect you and Camille. Sound okay?
Yes, thanks.
Beautiful. Okay, I think I see a couple more hands. Let me make sure I hit those. Oh, no.
Oh, sorry, that was just me. I just sent you the link for the comprehensive plan thing.
Beautiful. Let me send it out. Comprehensive plan, there we go. All right, any more good of the order? Going once, going twice. All right, 8:03, only 3 minutes past the hour. Not too bad for a political meeting, staying pretty much on time. So thank you everyone for attending and for contributing your passion and your ideas as always. This has been great, and yeah, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.